Pentagon report is detailing a dramatic increase in UFO sightings, more than 350 since 2021. Is there life on other planets? Scientists may be one step closer to an answer.
There is very compelling evidence that we may not be alone.
Occam's razor be damned, we are here. Better late than never. I am here without my co-host to talk tic-tac, saucers, and spheres. There are no cigars to break out for when Ronnie talks about stars, because our beloved co-host here, Ronnie, is also an absolute POS and just did not want to do this episode, but I love you guys. I love you guys and am bringing you content none the less. So without the stars at the end, we have some good stuff. This one's going to be a little shorter because there is no Ronnie. There is no Ronnie segments about NASA and stars and all that. You know, all that boring shit, right? This is for the UFO fans. This is for the alien. This is for the believers. Okay. So first and foremost, please, you guys, we've been doing this show only for a little bit, and so we're pleased at what we see. We're pleased with we want some more interaction for sure in the comments, but you know, hit the thumbs up button or the thumbs down button if you don't like what you see. But sharing the content around, whether you just want to call us a bunch of dumbasses who don't know what we're talking about, or you're a little bit interested in the kind of stuff that we're reading up about and bringing to the table to talk about, the videos that we're putting on this channel, just engage with us if you will, because we want to keep doing this, and we don't need to be making a lot of money or anything like that, but we would like to see some engagement. If you guys have any sort of UFO videos, for real, we want them. We want to give them their due justice on this channel, tell a little bit of background story about them. So please reach out and touch us, you guys, okay? There's a few things I want to go over today. As the thumbnail suggests, our main topic today that I have wanted to talk about for a while, kind of been on the back burner, is the Holloman Air Force Base UFO. Back in 1971. So we're gonna get into that. I want to just kind of give you some good reasons to believe in general, talk about the modern day stuff. We don't have to go over everything, but things that we haven't already touched on this channel beyond like the newer, you know, not really new anymore, but military videos and whatnot. And so let's just kind of start there. Let's start there if we can. There has been a new UFO sighting that was brought to Jeremy Corbell. If you don't know who Jeremy Corbell is, he's a director, a filmmaker. He also does a really great podcast, Weaponized, with George Knapp, who's a two-time Peabody winner journalist. You know, these guys are pretty great. They really are. They get a lot of information brought to them. That's what makes them valuable. I want you to understand that. As I listen to them more and more, you know, a lot of people, you guys, if you're listening to this channel, should definitely be familiar, probably with Jeremy Corbell, but definitely with George Knapp. And they're very likable, you know? So they're very likable, and that's cool and all. So I do like them, but I want you to understand something here. What makes them actually valuable in the community is that a lot of people bring them information, go to them to get stuff out into the world. And the things that they have put out have been pretty phenomenal. I mean, they were a part, right? They were maybe a smaller-ish part, but they were a part of even those government videos. They knew about those before they were released, and were part of an effort to try to get them released. George Knapp, famous with getting into the alien stuff with the Bob Lazar interviews that nobody else got but him back then. Only more recently has Bob Lazar been on Joe Rogan finally. Didn't talk to anybody else but George Knapp before that. And now the film about him, done, of course, by Jeremy Corbell, who was vouched for, right, by George Knapp. And so the thing is that a lot of people go to them and give them this information. And this new UFO, spotted over a military base, right, is yet again something that was brought directly to Jeremy Corbell from military officials sitting on the base, all different ones on the base. Round and about 50 people witnessed this, and basically it reminded me of like the Phoenix lights. Big triangle with lots of lights all over the front of it. 5 lights on from 2 on the side, 1 in the front, something like that, or 7 lights. It's a big triangle, and there's a lot of actually different footage of it. There's enhanced footage that clearly shows this is part of an object. Absolutely, 100%. We all have to agree on something. This is part of an object, and the object is a little too big to be another B-52 bomber that really isn't that much of a secret anymore, right? And even in the Phoenix Lights things, I said that's too big. You could fit 3 B-2 bombers on each wing of this thing. This literally looked like the same kind of craft that caused the Phoenix Light stir. And, yeah, I just think that it matters a lot. I like this stuff. I like to believe it. But I really, really do try to remain a little bit skeptical. I am not overall skeptical of UFOs anymore at all. But case to case, I like to remain a little skeptical. So let's just we examine each one for what it is. So, because there is a lot of bullshit out there, and there's a lot that look too good to be true, so then they probably are. There's all sorts of things we can do with computer enhancement and video editing and whatnot in this day and age. But it's what really is going to matter a lot in this day and age is the video proof and all that, and have it being looked at to say, well, this isn't fake, because we can do that too, thankfully. The same kind of people that can create amazing special effects and graphics and place things in shots are the same people that can determine if somebody has done that. So a lot of these people can kind of debunk, oh, the video is not fake, but we don't know what it is, but it's not fake. And then sometimes they go, this video is fucking fake. And so that's good. That's a good thing. That's gonna help us weed out a lot of the fakes and the hoaxes and whatnot. But this, when it comes from military personnel, and they're not off duty and it's just this, and they're on the base, right? And it's at nighttime, and there you see it. It's in the sky, the lights. It's in a triangle shape. All of them clearly, now we have pictures where we can see it's part of an object. It's not individual lights. They're not flares. And there's a lot of reasons why these aren't flares, you guys. I mean, not to mention these military guys shot flares up at the craft, try to illuminate it, but also great for the video to show you what flares look like. They're in the same fucking video as this thing. So first off, flares go up high in the sky. They are not shot in formation like this, because you do not stand in a line together and shoot flares off. You don't do that. So that's a no-no. They do not practice shooting flares in that way. Second off, and most important in my book, besides that, is that, because if you did get guys in line to shoot the flares off to make it look like something, first off, you'd have to work very hard at getting them in this exact triangle, shoot it up, and it's got to be at the same time. Some go faster than those. The most important thing, if you did all that, they fall to the ground, you guys. Flares don't go up in the air. I don't know if you understand how flares work, but they do not go up in the air and then hover in the air forever. They fall back down, okay? And they make an arc. They go up, they stay there for a second, and then they lose altitude and they come back down. So they're not going to stay in formation. There is no physical way where flares can hover in the sky like that. And when we look at pictures and then we look into it a bit and we see this is a part of some sort of object that the lights are coming from, because we can see the outline of the object. That's another thing that's important to mention about this case. So this was just, and we hadn't touched on this yet because I really like, I mean, man, there has been a lot of great videos, footage, and so we've put it on this channel. When I put videos up there, I like to show you guys the really cool ones, the ones that really, really make you think, man. And this is just lights in the sky, but at face value. But this might turn out to be an important case. And the reason why is because you have the credible military people that are not just one, two guys. They're not off duty. They're on the base. This thing is over the military base. They are the ones that are filming the video of it. They are giving you dialogue during the video saying, what the hell is this thing? No, those aren't flares. Flares don't work that way. And saying, oh, it's a part of an object. This is a fucking UFO, and freaking out a little bit. And there's about 50 of them all together that throughout the night witnessed this thing. Also, they also said that the whole base acted weird. They saw this thing and they were, oh, the people seeing it were, oh my goodness, what is this? And they kept staring at it. But that's not what I mean. What I mean is that the heads of the base, the commanders, and so on and so forth, they acted strange. They wanted to investigate this thing. I believe that they sent up aircraft as well, helicopters or something. They sent up something as well, as they've done. This is not unfamiliar to a lot of other cases, and they'll send off, jets, burning up fuel with their afterburners to get after what was said to be. Meanwhile, they're like, oh, come on, you guys, this is nothing. Don't mind these jets that we're sending off in the fastest of kind of ways to try to look at this thing. Don't mind the helicopter. We just are fooling around. We knew there was no reason to send any of that stuff up there. There was nothing to be seen at all. So I don't know what the big hubbub is about. It's very strange how that is. That's something that the more and more you get into watching UFO stuff, you're going to see. I mean, hopefully you have a healthy appetite for it, because it's not good to start believing in, like, oh man, lizard people and shapeshifters that are fucking people in skin suits that can I mean, this is crazy. It's not good or healthy at all to get down rabbit holes like that are not even interesting, because there's nothing to back it but people's babblings. And then if you just listen to a madman's babblings all the time, like I sound, but I'm telling you, you don't want to listen to people like that. You shouldn't just believe me, and you shouldn't just believe Jeremy Corbell or George Knapp. You should watch all these things and take them for what they are. And what will become interesting over time, what happened to me watching all of these, UFO documentaries, reading up about this stuff, trying to kind of dig a little deeper if I couldn't find information that isn't super public when you can, which is very hard for a normal, citizen to do. But, man, there's a lot of content out there about aliens. And the thing is if you look enough into this stuff, you can just start to acquire, through all these cases, through all of these decades, that there's something to this, because there is something that causes the government to constantly create UFO research programs, most of which from back in the day on until just more recently with Arrow have been completely secretive, and there has been hundreds of millions of dollars dumped into this black budget funding of investigating UFOs. And so when they come out and tell you there's not much going on here, throughout the years, you go, well, why would you? Well, let's just take that away. My beliefs, if I like it, why would you spend hundreds of millions of dollars on a program and keep it secret, right, for as long as you can, that they're getting this funding, and that, yes, the government's involved looking into it? Why would you do that? See, as far as I know, there are no, I don't mean to offend anybody out there, but as far as I know, there are no, and never have been, government, and comment if I'm wrong here, but I believe there's never been any government funded programs, secret or not, for looking into Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster or ghost research, right? The government has gone into looking in LSD, hallucinogens, things like, and they go, there's something to this. They know that, and that's why they go there. There are and has been government funded black budget programming to talk about, you know, how far can we get with the human mind, telepathics, you know, and I cringe at that. But I will tell you, there has been a lot of money and a lot of serious people in the government with funding by the government who have looked into this sort of thing and sometimes say it's real. You guys ever heard of the Gateway Project as well? The Gateway Project, they literally have paperwork, documents, real government documents you can look up about how they use sound that you can kind of astro travel or whatever. This stuff sounds nuts, and it's not even my forte. I like just believing we've got a craft somewhere, you know, that happened at least one good time or more, and we got that thing, and we're hiding it. I think that's very reasonable to believe. But these other things that sound less reasonable, at least to me, are also real in the sense that the government spent money on this, did this, and came out from it saying, this worked. So I just could, you know, sometimes when you look into this stuff, you won't be able to believe what the government actually has interests in, spends money on, and then turns around when asked about these subjects and go, geez, what are you guys, crazy? But you know what's a turn of events is that now we're getting the Arrow program and stuff out in the open with Congress. We're having NASA coming out and saying we're going to look into UFOs. By the way, NASA held up, you know, so this is my overarching point, is that they've always looked into this stuff. They are now, and finally, they're stopping, like, hiding it. It doesn't have to be black budget funded anymore. It's more acceptable, and that's a good thing. And if you simply look and say, maybe I don't believe that this video is of a real UFO video. Maybe I don't believe that this witness actually saw a UFO. Maybe I don't believe this one story I'm hearing, or this one, or that one. But one or two sound real interesting, and maybe you could believe that. They sound different than the other. Then you believe maybe a little bit on that, but oh, come on. I mean, there's no evidence. Folks, the evidence is that the government would not continuously, not once, like a mistake, but just since the 40s, continuously on to present day and going strong, they have never relented on funding programs to look into UFOs. The government has not. They have continued to dump money into, back in the day, black budget, secret programs. Now, out in the open programs, still getting funded. They continue to do it because they know something's there. Otherwise, if whoever decided to do the first one, what was that, Blue Book or whatever, the first Grudge, whatever the first one was, they would have said there's nothing to this then, and nobody would have spent hundreds of millions of dollars in the decades to come on these programs. Nobody would do that. They wouldn't waste the money doing that. The government, yes, they waste money, but they waste money to put kind of into their own pockets, or they waste money on something we think is a waste of money, but they think is an asset or something. They don't just go willy-nilly into, yeah, sure, this guy's coming to the White House steps, you know, he's coming to Congress and asking to study werewolves. They don't just go and give that guy money. So don't think that happens. So ask yourself, why has the government continuously, for decades, since the 40s until present day, spent hundreds of millions of dollars on UFO research programs? Ask yourself that. That's kind of my case to be made about that. So moving on. Oh, by the way, while we're still just having fun here and I'm not reading off of a list yet, like I said, NASA is the newest kid on the block in the UFO field trying to come in and say, we're going to have our own project. Ronnie loves NASA, my co-host who will be on here, and I will ask him about this. He said they were doing that. I said, that's cool. Why don't you look up the thing? Of course he never did. He's an absolute POS, right? So he never looked up the fucking video. He said, why I didn't look it up? Because they didn't say that they found anything. Which, of course, of course that's what they say. That's always what you have to dig a lot deeper into something to find little gems. And what I want to know is that, NASA's out there saying, well, listen, yeah, we don't know exactly what these are, but we can't go anywhere with, like, these military videos of the Tic Tac and off the Nimitz and the Go Fast and all these things. Sure, we're not saying we know what they are, but they could be whatever, and we can't get any further looking into this with the grainy footage and the data that's shown on the side, because we need more resolute images and we need better data than how fast it's going, how far away it is, how hot or cold it is, or all these things, which is beyond me. These guys are very smart, so I don't really see how you couldn't use all that data to try to assess what something could be, but I'm totally on board with that, because I do trust in that when they say that. But they say, yeah, so we need these things, and there's just nothing to believe now. But they literally say, we are the ones, this is what we do. We, as NASA, and not the government, who this isn't their only thing, we can have this board of 16 people or whatever, scientists and doctors and astronauts, and all, we can find this stuff out. Good fucking luck, NASA. Also, I wanna ask NASA a question, and that would be, why are we trusting you to look into any of this? You have turned your cameras off constantly. You have been caught red-handed fucking blurring images of the moon and Mars and all these things. You have been asked to take specific pictures in specific places by all of us that fund, that with our taxpayer dollars. And you go, nah, we want to go look at these rocks over here. And they're like, but it looks like a fucking city is over here. There's something under the ground. Look at this. There's a face over here. We need you to go take it. And they go, no, we don't want to go to that side. And they don't do it. And why? Of the so many times. I just watched a documentary about why in the world have you had literally countless times, I can't remember to begin to get a ballpark count of how many times through the history of NASA your video cameras have shown crazy anomalous objects, even by mistake on live TV, and your astronauts have talked about it, and you switch the camera off when the thing is in view, and we can already see it, but then you switch it off because you see it on your feed before it's ever live or whatever it is that you guys are doing. Why do you do that? Why do you do that if you're now looking into UFOs? Why do you blur? Why have you been caught blurring out images and putting out basically totally doctored pictures of things mysterious that you then doctor, change the color of, blur, so on and so forth? And why have you turned your cameras away and or off of countless anomalies going on in space where objects are moving around and your astronauts are freaking out about it? Why have you done that if we're supposed to trust that you're going to look into this stuff now? All right. That being said, we're going to talk about the Holloman Air Force Base supposed possible, contact that was made between the United States military and extraterrestrials. In May of 1971 at Holloman Air Force Base, a supposed contact took place when a UFO spotted over the hills started descending down into the desert right outside of the military base. A tech sergeant, a staff sergeant, and the base's photography team, they start filming it. From far away, they first report it's probably a helicopter. As it gets closer, however, they clearly see this is no helicopter. A second camera crew on the ground starts filming. It hovers silently about 10 feet off the ground once it makes its full descent. Then it makes a strange sound as it touches down with three extensions coming out the bottom of the craft for landing gear. A commander, two officers, and two base scientists drive out towards the craft. A panel on the side of the craft slides open, and three 4 to 5 foot tall beings in tightly fit silver suits walk out. They are pale whitish, grayish blue color, have abnormally long noses, and big eyes stretch far apart on either side of their face. They're wearing strange headpieces that are some sort of rope design. The commander and the officers greet the beings as they have some form of communication before they all leave, and almost the entire military base witnesses this event and is completely left in awe with their jaws dropped as the event comes to a close. This supposed contact at Holloman Air Force Base and the 15-minute color film of it was the topic of great concern, chased down by all UFO researchers for decades to come. President Jimmy Carter was supposedly briefed on the Holloman Air Force Base incident and shown 15-minute color film of the event. George Bush Sr. also said himself that he saw the film in a briefing, but not as the President of the United States, or rather when he was the CIA director. He says that that film, when asked about it, is, quote, the real deal. Many Secret Service agents have come forward as well and talked about seeing this film. Dr. Hal Puthoff and NIDS, a corporation run by billionaire Robert Bigelow, who now owns Bigelow Aerospace, were obsessed with finding this footage. And in their efforts to do so, they came across a man who at the time of the incident worked at Holloman Air Force Base as the security manager there. His name was Paul Shardle, and he agreed eventually to go on camera and testify to seeing this film and talk about everything that he saw, including aliens getting out of the saucer-shaped craft. However, 2 weeks before he was supposed to be flown out to Las Vegas for this interview, he was killed in a mysterious car crash. You guys, what's a good UFO story without somebody being murdered, suicided in a car crash that no one was ever arrested for? Yeah. That is a telltale sign that is within many UFO investigations, unfortunately. Many people have come to very mysterious deaths, wet work kind of deaths, to be completely honest with you. And that is another, and that is very grim, but also as serious as that is, you have to take that as yet again evidence towards there is nothing mundane about these incidents, where this sort of cover up, these sort of catastrophes, these sort of mysterious things, and lots of money go into covering it up, shutting people up, so on and so forth. That alone tells you there is nothing mundane about these incidents whatsoever. And that footage that I was showing you while I just talked about the Holloman Air Force Base case was supposed to be that's real footage from the Holloman Air Force Base of this UFO event in May of 1971. And back then and for decades after it, or at least a whole decade after it and more, was supposed to be that there was no film. This event didn't happen, period. Not that it wasn't aliens, it just didn't happen, and there was no 15-minute film. Later, we come to find there is a 15-minute film, and it is out there in the world right now. Someone has that full 15-minute video where they can literally, supposedly, watch aliens stepping out of a craft, closely being videotaped of all of this, and meeting with Air Force officials who come to greet them, see what's going on, whatever it is that happened there. There is an incredible, life-changing 15-minute video out there, and this is just a clip of that, which has been leaked and basically is okay to be leaked, first in a documentary, and when asked by the director of the documentary, you said you'd let me have the video, and then you said no, and you pulled it. Well, I saw that they left about 18 seconds of video on this documentary, and I thought you said we couldn't use it, but it was okayed. And he was told, yes, those 18 seconds are okayed. And he said, well, I don't understand. I thought this was classified. And the government official says to him, it's just background. And he says, what do you mean it's just background? I don't understand. This is from the footage. And he goes, yeah, but it doesn't show anything. Well, this is real and from the footage, and so supposedly what I have just shown you is real footage of a real UFO taken by military officials at Holloman Air Force Base in 1971.